Good morning. All right.
Jamie's always one of the first people on the air.
Always.
Always.
I appreciate it, especially based on some of our comments actually with the whole sales thing.
Yeah.
Jamie's very aggressive, so I appreciate that. So morning, folks. Jarrod Best Michelle,
Lyndon Braffett.
sales enthusiast, here on our weekly YouTube, which is Sales as a Profession, our
Yes.
weekly Instagram live. And this week we're talking about the topic for a very specific reason, which is trigger events.
Yep.
So let me actually put this into context so you kind of understand why. Now,
What a
I've
trigger
actually been
event might be.
thinking about trigger events for a while now. It wasn't just something that just came up. And last 2 weeks was something happened which caused me to say, you know what, we really need to delve into this.
All right.
So what happened 2 weeks ago, actually had an unfortunate incident where somebody came into my yard and actually stole stuff. So I was thankful that they didn't break into the house, and I also thought in my mind, you know what? Thankful that they were able to show me in the least expensive way the vulnerabilities in my house.
Yes.
So I was happy for that. I was upset, but at the same time I was happy. So, of course, it triggered something which was important, which is what we want to talk about today, because an incident happened. So the incident now triggered for me to look at my surroundings, look at my home, start to look at the things I needed to put in place
Yes.
to make sure that it didn't reoccur, it didn't happen, and that I made an investment.
Right.
So the question being for everybody who listens here, everybody who's in sales, everybody who has their own business, are you aware of your trigger industries in your company, in your environment, etc.? Because those things, I think, one, help you build your pipeline.
Yes.
It helps you respond to customers and increases your chances of getting a sale.
Correct.
Because especially if you're contacting the customer with something that happened to them and your product or service can help either fix it, improve it, or stop it, you have a greater chance of winning the sale.
Yeah.
So just to actually give you, I just want to put it into context, right? So just researching from one of my favorite sites, which is HubSpot, HUBSPOT. If you haven't checked them out, please do. But HubSpot actually defines it as a trigger occurrence is any occurrence that creates an opening for marketing or sales opportunity, as we said, right? Which is a perfect way to describe it. So I would immediately think that when I went into the company, because I bought video cameras and all these other things, I would immediately think they would start pushing me for more, but they kept it very basic. So they missed out on a sales opportunity. Because if you see somebody kind of moving frantic, it might sound bad, but I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, this man willing to spend four? Let's see if you push and squeeze
I would
six.
sell you stuff you don't need.
Not even stuff you don't need, but I'll be like, no, I can squeeze six out here. Right? And for me, I am the one who more instigates and stuff, and that's okay,
That's
I don't
correct,
mind.
yeah.
But what are you paying attention to in your industry with regards to trigger events? Because to me, as I say, it doesn't matter. Every industry has a trigger that causes you to say, boom,
I need to pay attention to this.
I need to pay attention. Alright, look at simple. We have a long weekend this weekend.
That's correct.
Let's go the most basic and a fundamental industry, barbers and beauty services. I'm sure this whole week, especially Friday, they may have been booked up because people went to get their haircut, their nails
Yep.
done, went for a spa treatment, whatever it is they want to get because it's
Yeah,
a long weekend.
Parties coming up.
Parties
boat
coming
rides,
up,
all
those
these
sort of
other
things.
yeah.
Those are trigger events. The question is now, what we want to try and help you guys develop is that you need to understand from your perspective in sales, how do you understand what your trigger events are, and then how do you make sure and react to it. So to me, I want to classify one thing which I think will apply in all sales. One of your trigger events is seasons.
Correct.
And I think, I don't care what industry you're in, a trigger event is seasons. Right? Because again, look at it this way. We're in September, the budget is calling October 1st.
Yes.
Government, people who have checks with government or contracts, all try and make sure they get business done before October 1st. Because
As a matter of fact, the government would have been asking for a whole set of invoices for the 17th of September
to make sure and pay.
to make sure they have the ability to pay it.
Okay, you have a deadline.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have insight. What have you used trigger events? What are some of your things you think people should actually do with regards to it?
Actually, yes. So, and let me even scale it back to two things, right? Anybody in the sales industry, business people, entrepreneurs, you should be familiar with two things, right? Even if you don't have your degrees or your masters, you should be familiar with what your SWOT is and what your PESTLE is, because those things help you, especially when you're doing your business plan.
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
So when it comes to things like your political, economical, social, and everything else, technological, all these things are, as you say,
PES, political, economical, social, technological.
yeah, but it's PESTL, I think. I can't remember what the
correct.
LM is for right now, right?
Right.
And then, of course, in relation to your SWOT. So your PESTL helps you understand a lot more about on the macro side of your entire industry.
Yep.
And on your SWOT, it gives you the ability to understand where you are in relation to being prepared for those things.
Yeah.
Right? So you follow your plan. Now, let's say you don't have a business plan, then you must, as Jarrod is saying, you don't expect a barber to have a business plan, but he must understand the seasons, what's coming up now, what's coming up then, this holiday, that kind of thing, right?
And what you want to do to get booked out.
Exactly.
I want to be fully booked, so I make sure I message all my clients.
Hairdressers, nail technicians,
Exactly.
everybody, even retail stores.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the most important thing. And so having a plan,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a full-blown business plan or a simple plan.
So in other words, an action plan, so that once it happens, you're able to act and respond or delegate to get things
I
done.
remember you were saying to be ahead, or in terms of where you're getting your business, it gives you the ability to be proactive.
Yes.
That's the most important thing with being proactive on a trigger event. Now, there's a point I want to make with being reactive to a trigger event, but we'll say that as we go further.
All right, no problem, perfect. So that's what I was to say. One of the things is just kind of help you realize what's happening in the industry. As they say, you create a perfect business plan, but you create it to an extent where you could understand how to better maximize all your revenue making opportunities in the industry with your clients, etc. So I'll just say, for example, I know we had Jamie on. I'm not too sure if she's still watching. What might be some of the trigger industries for the car sales, and you in car sales?
Yeah.
So like, what would be some of the triggers? So, and triggers come internal and external, because again, a trigger could be you're bought in a new car. So let's look at Nissan. Nissan right now has buy a Frontier, get a Duke.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
Very interesting promotion. I find it's kind of weird.
I have a comment on that, but that's further for this.
Right. It's very weird. But that, I saw it and I was like, what? I was like, it sounds weird, but it's probably just to find out more information. Then, for example, every budget I think is a trigger event, because if car VAT prices raise up, you want to make sure you can push out sales, because you tell persons this shipment here, the next shipment, and the price is going to go up because they're going to raise the motor vehicle tax.
That's correct.
So you reach out to your clients and your customers, and that's where I think the second part comes in. So you have a business plan to understand the environment, but you need to understand what to communicate to them and what's the communication strategy behind it. Because again, you just don't want to blurt out anything. Because it's like, for example, coming across a girl in your dreams and they're not prepared and they're like, no.
Vomit coming out there.
Yeah, you don't want vomit. You want to make sure they communicate a clear message that again allows the customer to say, all right, you know, this might actually be the time for me to consider this.
That's correct.
Because I was thinking about security cameras, but I had no urgency.
But something triggered it.
Something triggered it.
And it wasn't actually close to home, it was at home.
At home.
Yeah.
So you all have to understand, this is how you have to treat with your customers. Like, it might sound bad, but again, this is to maximize your revenue opportunities with everybody. It's not.
Sorry, you finish and I'll say something.
Yeah. So for me, look at it as a way of you being able to increase your value to your customer, because you're bringing value to them, because you know your product and service benefits, and more importantly, it helps you maximize every dollar that you can get out to your customer, making sure that you get maximum wallet share.
And you actually just said what I was going to say. Companies need to be bringing this level of awareness.
Yep.
To gain the interest, so that customers will buy. Now again, you would have been aware of security cameras.
Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't until something happened. Right.
Yeah.
Now not all customers may go that particular route, but now let's say even just off of you. Now other people, because you are close to them, they may say, hey, this thing happened by Jarrod, let me go organize my stuff one time. I've been procrastinating, you understand? But because you've also had the provider has always been giving the awareness, that helps maximize the mindset and relation as to what needs to happen now, so that you mitigate against this. And that's a reaction now, in terms of where a trigger event happens, right?
Correct.
You were just asking me as to what is it that car companies do. Well, for me specifically, one of the things that I was taught and I was actually able to develop, not on my own but with the rest of the team,
right?
We looked at it, yes, from a seasonal standpoint, and we also tried to find a way of getting the word out there. So like one of the things that happens around the end of every school year is that if people would be moving from secondary to A-levels, from A-levels into university, and in most instances people who are looking at going into universities, they may want to buy a car for their their son or daughter.
Right,
But
correct.
that car could be a brand new car or it could be a used car. You understand?
anything.
So we started to prepare and get the word out there pretty early. And what it actually helped us do is that it helped us factor in things like trade-ins. So we had used cars on the lot.
Right.
You understand? For people that were trading into buying
So you're
new
bringing
vehicles.
inventory for people
Yeah.
who want that and they sell cars to people.
And you sell cars. Or it also gave us the ability to partner, right?
Yeah.
With used car dealers. Again, because of course you want to be able to maximize. Because if he finds somebody who might be looking for a vehicle, if you send business to him, quid pro quo, right? If you
Exactly.
send business to him, he sends business to you.
It works out. You
So
scratch
it
my
works
back,
out.
I scratch yours.
So in terms of when you're looking at trigger events and whether you're looking at it at seasonal or whatever it is, it's wise to really have your plan in place for that. Now, here's another reaction to a trigger event.
Right.
Within the last 2 years, we had two major companies, state entities, affected by things happening within the oil industry.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
So
Who's the second one?
the second one was Petrotrin. The first one was ArcelorMittal.
Oh, I know. I was thinking about just thinking they were smaller now. So it wasn't on a large scale, but still.
Smaller, maybe in size.
But they had a
But they
huge
were
ripple
huge
effect.
in relation to revenue and the ripple
Yeah,
effect and
correct.
stuff like that, right? So one of the things I always like to tell every organization and salesperson is don't be too dependent upon things like major accounts.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Because
something we've
you
always discussed.
never
Don't put
you
your eggs
never
in one
know
basket.
as to what can actually happen where that is concerned.
Yep.
So ArcelorMittal, unbeknownst to the organization, and the things were just not working properly, so they had to close up shop, right?
Exactly.
So what would have happened there in relation to?
Which cause a ripple effect, which cause a trigger effect for a lot of persons. So now, for a lot of companies, as they say, let's use the example in the oil industry. Now, a lot of companies who may have relied on Petrotrin for services are now asking themselves, who else can we rely on? Because that's folding up shop. Let's collect our checks, let's collect whatever money is owed, and let's get it in there. Because now we're just thinking that's not a viable option right now.
I cannot rely on major. I can't rely on that size of organization because when you lose that piece of business, it is sometimes very, very hard
To get
to
back.
replace.
Yeah,
You understand?
and I'll give you the example. I think we were speaking about it where the agency back in the day, this would have probably been 2006, 2010 and before, that used to handle Digicel for marketing. Digicel was their only major client. And then when Digicel left and Digicel went to Lonsdale, that was it. The company folded in less than a year.
Yeah, that's why
So
I
they
like
have
to
it
tell
in
people.
place.
I
But
like to tell people that the ripple effect of Arcelor and thing is not just employees going home, but you also have your service providers.
Yeah.
If your revenue would have dropped because if you lost that particular major account and you can't make it back up, guess what? You have to look at where your expenses are. Some of your biggest expenses in your staff.
Exactly.
Always your counter for that because we're talking sales here. Your counter should be one where you now start looking at, okay, so you see that with Arcelor and you see it happen with Petrotrin. You now started to really understand what your mix is. It comes back to me back as to what your plan is, and you need to figure out. Maybe you all can go back to maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago from what Jarrod and I did, where we spoke about how to start building out to replace other bigger major accounts, and you start looking at planning properly. So that's where you're looking at your SWOT, where you're looking at your pestle.
strategic planning
and you'll
and
be
everything.
very strategic and listing out and looking at new strategies and products.
So-
Have a mix.
Something I just wanted to identify too, which I think is important, is where you go to find your trigger events. Because to me that is key. Because, alright, so for example, I always look at the newspapers. Because to me
Yes.
newspapers are full of trigger events. And I mean trigger events of different things. So for example, let's just not look at what might be happening in the news. Let's look at, I always see things where, for example, company might have a welcoming party for their new person.
CEO or marketing
Or I may
person,
see
whatever.
a new job or vacancy advertised in a company. So if I'm in the car industry and I do executive car lead sales,
Yes.
I'll say, hey, this man needs something.
Yeah.
Or if I'm the person handling the account, I'll be like, yo, let me make sure and get this person a phone. Let me reach out to the company and add some value and say, hey, I noticed you're looking for somebody. So when they finish, let's make sure and give them the best phone. Let's add them onto the plan. Let's decide what plan is best for them.
That's correct.
What are their rules, the full work. So to me, you have to, I would always say, look at the newspapers. That to me wins like hands down.
Yes.
The next thing is to be, I would always say networking and insight into the
Networking.
industry. Like that's a key thing because what you hear people talking about and saying is a lot of the times most likely what's going to happen. So if I'm sure people who were smart were hearing years before, or at least the last 12 months, what was going to happen with Petrotrin. So
Yes.
the smart persons put things in place.
Put things in place early.
So you'll have a lot of people who complain, then we have a lot of people who be like, well, I adjust it. So as I say overall, trigger events have to make sure and put you in an advantage where you can squeeze the most out of your clients.
Yes.
So I'm seeing it from that perspective. And just to list you all a couple of things which will spread across through all industries, but just it will narrow down for anyone. Like for example, as you said, new execs, new job announcements. The company might be expanding. The company might be relocating.
That's correct, yeah.
There's a competitive announcement from one of their
That's correct,
competitors. So imagine you serving a customer, one of their competitors make an announcement that affects them. You could step in and actually provide stuff that will help them, right? Vendor dissatisfaction. How in Digicel, you know how many times we would see when companies advertise and say, hey, our PBX system is down, please contact this number. And you would call them, that's the time to swoop in. Because it'd be like, listen, we could provide this, we could get us up, we know what's going on. Listen to your trigger events, right? You have companies that might have a bad quarter.
Yes.
Because of certain things. You know it can improve a good quarter, a new product that they introduce into the market. There's so many different things.
Or you have, like for instance, when Toyota and they have recalls. Now it may not affect our region,
Yeah.
right? But at the end of the day, it's also something to pay attention to.
It's to pay attention.
You know?
Because
That's how
offers
they
insight.
do it abroad. So, but I'm saying all of those little insights is very, very important when you're looking at a trigger event and how
Actually,
to react
no,
it.
here's how it works. In my opinion, sorry. Imagine let's say a car company has a recall locally.
Yes.
My thinking is, if I know I have my pipeline done properly, I might have 3 people who told me while I was checking out Ford. That'll be my time to strike.
Yeah.
Especially with this, it might be the vehicle that they're looking at. That's just me. But I know I would call the persons and be like, hey, just touching base. I know you're looking at the thing for the car, and you're not just going through the papers and saw this.
Yep.
You can pay it an attack for way, not anything to sound bad, but
Yep.
again, I just want to make sure that hey, we don't have these things. We don't have any occurrences. You talk about your track record, so you get the client convinced, and that is one of the main things. Another thing too, which I think you would appreciate, a trigger event is, again, this is based on the type of CRM you have, is when a client opens their email.
Yeah. As simple
Because
as that is.
as
Yeah.
simple as that
simple
is.
as that is, yeah.
It triggers it. So even as an example, I think I told you last week, director for a director for a shipping company actually reached out to me, and he was asking me for sales execs for his company.
Right.
But again, to me, that's another trigger event because, again, if you're thinking full into it, my first question would be like, why need a person? What type of person are you looking for?
Exactly.
What's going on in the company right now? Like my first question to him, because I didn't know him at all. He just reached out to me on LinkedIn through another contact.
Right.
Was just to ask what will make this person successful in the role. I thought that was the main thing. But again, it's trigger events that you need to look at, you need to pay attention to, and you need to be able to respond and have things ready.
Now, the person, because we're being specific to sales.
Yeah.
From an account management standpoint, that's where the value of the account manager is so important. One, to the organization he is working with, or if you're just a business consultant and you're looking for business, your role as an account manager to be able to understand and read these things is really important. So for instance,
super important.
if a branch is expanded, let's say you're selling office furniture or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Once you understand that there is growth happening within that organization and they're looking to expand, then you have to be willing to, you have to first have that level of relationship with them where you can ask them those things and they can tell you. So you know from beforehand, you can bring that back within your organization and say, listen, the company is expanding, they will need to get this, that, and that, they will need to this particular location.
You can imagine if there was a rep, and this is just popping in my head, I'm sure there may have been 1 rep or 2 reps who was like marking government when they was moving to the buildings downtown.
Yeah, sure.
And they were like, alright, it didn't happen in 2012, and there's some of them in the company for like 5 years at other accounts. We don't need to talk about a long time goes, and they just waited for the trigger because new government come in place.
Yep.
You keep on top of your contacts, talking to them. It's like, yeah, the change coming, we moving across into the building, and you just get our contract signed to supply new office furniture. Because I remember they kept speaking about the offices won't furnish, you're still waiting on
all kind of
bids,
stuff. It kept rolling over.
So just imagine, like, those are the things that we talk about when it comes to trigger events.
And that's
guys.
a good one too. Elections is also a good trigger event.
So that and so that's why I said seasonal is something that applies to every industry. So again, you might not be in sales, might be any industry, but I just think seasonal causes a trigger with everybody because every industry has a season. So if again you are mostly supported by government, you know your seasons, you know how to react to certain things. The elections, and budget are two major things that affect you, and anytime there's major legislative change.
Changes in the board, all those are different factors. If you have a new head of the board of directors, a new CEO, all those things are different. Yeah.
So all those things, guys, allow you. So again, here's the simple thing, as we said, as we wrapping it up. You must have a business plan. You must have a communication strategy. You must know where your trigger events coming from. So you know where to look. Newspapers. You can even set up Google keywords. If you haven't, just Google keywords. All right, and you'll see it's a huge benefit, right? And then at the end of the day, you need to understand your industry, what you could provide, how fast you could react. All right, and then once you do that, trigger events become something that's built into your company, and it should be something that's actually built into any junior training.
I was not going to say that. It has to be part of your process, because remember, you want everybody to be thinking along these same lines. When every one of your salespeople go out in the field, they are thinking, they are listening to certain things.
Yeah.
Everybody's reading the papers, they're listening to the news, they're checking certain things on the phone. It could just be a matter of certain things with your friends. I've had some senior sales executives close opportunities from trigger events, and you know where they close it? Playing a game of table tennis.
Exactly.
You understand? Because they are putting themselves in those positions, networking events, socializing, just to be able to be there at the right time, or just to have the conversation with the right person.
Know where the trigger events occur.
Yeah.
So that's just it from my end. Trigger events from a bad situation allow me just to realize something with regards to sales, and of course just trigger me to do something to invest so that I don't have a reoccurrence again in the future. All right.
And use the examples of whatever is happening now, negative or positive, to help prepare you. If it wasn't part of your business plan from before, make sure
implement it now.
But and again, you always have to keep thinking. As I said, you may not have the degree or the masters, but if it's one thing, you have to have a business. You have to develop a business acumen. That's one thing that a salesperson must be able to do.
Must have that business acumen. All right. And OG Augustine, thanks for the great info, guys. No problem. Any questions you have, let us know, because we're wrapping up. Blue Soap, shout out to you guys. Jamie, I saw the best salesman. That is the sales guy for Isuzu. Yeah, he's always, you just see trucks coming out of there like rain. I think he just be liming in Tobago half the time. Plus he have it set up so nice doing his work.
Right, and that's good. That's also
that's when they reach a peak of sales professionalism. Right, look, Joy Island now pop on. But as you say, guys, trigger events. It's such an important thing to help you build your pipeline. And just to wrap up, you always have to be aware of the changes. Yeah, you have to be aware. If you're not aware, you get left behind. Alright, so that's it from this week. Lyndon Braffett, Jarrod Best Mitchell. This is Sales as a Profession, where we continuously want to pass our knowledge and our experiences in sales on to you. Just want to let you all know, for example, November, first week in November is our third and will be the last one for the year, which is the sales mixer. So it will probably be at the same location, but we definitely going to be doing one at the first week in November. Probably this week we'll announce the exact date, but it's the first week on the Thursday. Is it Thursday, right? Or Tuesday? Thursday. Alright, guys, so thanks so much. Either that, you have to be creating a change. That is true. So you cause the trigger.
Come and influence.
Alright, so thank you very much for tuning in, guys. And as always, any questions you have, just let us know.
Please.
Thanks.